Hello, hello, hello. Just checking the microphone, and welcome to all you astrology friends out there. First of all, welcome to this reading. It's about the June horoscopes, and thank you so much. First of all, I want to thank you for all those comments and all those likes of my former videos, and it really helps me. Again, I'm not answering all those comments, but I read every single one of them. And it was so funny, all those compliments about my haircut. I mean, I didn't even like it. Can you imagine? So now, yeah, I thought it's not that bad after all. But anyways, it's of course not about the haircut. It's about the content of astrology. And we're going to talk now about June in general, very shortly, what's the flavor, and then for the 12 signs in particular, I'm going to talk about three things. So, but let's start in general for the month of June. It's a pretty nice month. No eclipses there, no Mercury retrogrades, and even the first week is starting with epiphanies. And I'm going to tackle that in each one of your horoscopes because can you remember the eclipse with around at about the 20th, 21st of April? You know, the one that squared up to Pluto. It was in Aries, and then the Mercury shifted. The day after that eclipse, the Mercury shifted direction. Well, it's connected to that because now this Mercury, think about what was happening for you around the 20th of April, 21st, around that week. What was happening there? Because now, so things were unspoken or things were spoken out and were quite erratic, quite weird, but liberating at the same time. And the first week of the month is very much focused on that energy again, but with the difference of real clarity now. Because Mercury it was tempted in April to meet Uranus, but it didn't. Uranus was at 17 degrees, Mercury at 15, and almost it went with a conjunction, but then it went backwards. So it's almost like we saw a glimpse of information that was very liberating for us. No doubt about it, and very real and raw. Very, reality check. Absolutely. But a bit like unsettling for sure. And now we have the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth coming out. So be ready for that. So it's the first week. It kind of peaks around the 4th and the 5th of June, but it's that first week of June where we will have clarity on things before, and definitely it's actually where the whole Mercury retrograde was all about. It was all about revealing that truth and introspecting, and reassessing. And now it comes out. So this is like for some people, it's going to be shocking. It's going to be shocking news anyways, but sometimes shocking news is good news, right? So expect that. That's the first thing that I'm going to discuss. The second thing that I find very, very important is Venus and Mars in the same sign of Leo. Yes, Mars is already in Leo. As from is it the 6th? As from May time. Let me double check. The 21st of May, Mars gets into Leo, right? So for the whole of June, it's going to be in Leo. And but the thing is that Venus is also going to enter Leo during the month of June, which is on the 6th. Now, it's a very, you could say, romantic, dramatic, inspired, passionate position when you have Venus and Mars together in the same sign. And it's almost like Venus is chasing Mars, but it's not getting to a conjunction. It's never going to get to a conjunction, but it's quite passionate when they're so close together during that whole month and they are in the same area of your life, basically. But another thing that is so special that I'm going to talk about more in July, but I want to mention it now already so that you are prepared, is the Venus retrograde. So Venus will enter its shadow already during June. And that's going to be, I'll explain in a minute what it is, but it's going to be in its shadow already around, I think, when it comes up until 12 degrees. So that is around the 20th of June. So around the 20th of June, it's actually the Venus retrograde cycle. It's not going retrograde yet on the 20th of June, but it's in the shadow, in the degrees that is going to be important. 2 degrees are going to be important. 12 degrees, where it's starting in its shadow, and 28 degrees, where it's going to stop and going backwards. So these 2 points are going to be super significant. Now, Venus stays in a sign like 3 weeks, 3 weeks and a half, something like that. And now it's going to stay in Leo for 3 months. So a huge emphasis where Venus passes, and it's going to shine a light on the value system of ourselves. And we are going to value more, again, Leo traits, which is expression, which is passion, because Mars is around it. And which is also enjoyment, having to, enjoying yourself and showing your own and expressing your own uniqueness. It's very Venus-like. It's also very buoyant. It wants to, to go to beautiful places and express themselves like a king and a queen, basically. And another thing is that this Venus retrograde, this is a preview that I'm saying here, but the Venus retrograde is a very special one. Why? And a very Uranian one, because it's going to square up 3 times to Uranus. So we're going to have Venus square Uranus 3 times. One in June already. No, in July, sorry. In July, it's going to square up to Uranus. In August, it's going to square up to Uranus. And in September, the end of September, it's going to square up again to Uranus. So this shows that collectively, we want things to be different. We want to explore. We are going to be more wanting to do things, especially when we feel enchained in relationships. This is a bit a dangerous position for people who are in a relationship that's been going on like, you take each other for granted and you wait until the other person does something to let up a fire, or how do you say that? To let up the fire? Yeah, something. To put another log on the fire. Now, the thing is, do it yourself, basically, because if you are going to wait, strange things can happen out of the blue, because you exude that energy that you actually unconsciously, you want something different. You want something that you've never experienced before. Now, does it mean to say that everyone will, everyone who's in a relationship is going to look elsewhere? No. But what it means is that we all want something different, that we all want to have different, exciting experiences, enjoyable experiences, because it's in Leo. So if we know that, we can already do it before we suppress it, and then it comes out in a way that we don't want it, because, that's the Venus square Uranus. All of a sudden, you're going to be tempted there. Or there's going to be someone who's really like, expressing that Uranian vibe of liberty and freedom and of, enjoyment and excitement and whatnot. So very exciting energy indeed. That is the Venus, Mars in Leo that I'm going to discuss in a minute. Where is the area of life that you are going to experience that? And last but not least it is a sextile. Normally I never talk about sextiles in the monthly horoscopes, but now it's between 2 bigger planets. It's Jupiter sextiling Saturn, and that is amazing stable energy. That is stability between I want to expand, but I want to be stable, right? It's like expansion with stability. Isn't that great? Because mostly when we grow very fast, it's a bit unsettling. And now there is that stability. Jupiter sextile Saturn. And that's going on like in the midst of the month, like between the 15th and the 24th of June. So that's a balance between, you could say, expansion and between healthy boundaries. So let's delve into this for the 12 signs where, yes, there is a Pluto retrograde in Capricorn as well around the 20, what am I saying? Around the 12th of June. So Pluto is going back into Capricorn. I'm not going to talk about that because this is the energy that we know. That is energy that we know. So go back to the former videos if you were interested in that and what it means, Pluto in Capricorn in a specific house for you. And on the 18th of June, Saturn is going retrograde in Pisces. So it shows that, but I think it's going to be a rather good retrograde because it's sextiling. It's around the 18th of June, and then it's sextiling that Jupiter. So it's quite a nice retrograde. The things that we've learned around Saturn and Pisces, which is those boundaries in a sign that doesn't really like the boundaries, that doesn't really want to have those clearness and clarity, right? But it's so supported now with Jupiter sextile Saturn. So let's get into Aries. For Aries, this epiphany that I was talking about is in your second house. So expect some truths, some reality checks that, think again about April, the end of April. Reality checks when it comes to your money, when it comes to your assets, and when it comes to your confidence. So there is something realistic happening here. And be alert and learn from it, right? Because it can be very unique information that comes with your intuition. And it's like, okay, definitely some clues there to improve your confidence, to improve your financial situation. The whole emphasis of these upcoming months is going to be your fifth house. This is amazing news. The fifth house, Mars and Venus there. Mars going backwards, forwards, and whatnot. And no, don't think, dear Aries people, that with the Venus retrograde, people are going to come back that you don't want. I mean, if that is the case, you can shut the door, right? You are an Aries. You are active. You're not going to be like this victim, like, oh, someone is coming back, all that kind of stuff. But it could mean indeed that someone will come back in your life, but you're going to like it. This Aries energy trines this Leo energy. So already start enjoying yourself more than ever. It could mean that when you're single, you fall in love. It could mean that there's a lot of passion there. There's a lot of passion there. Yes, Jupiter is out of your sign, but now it's like this Mars and Venus bubbling up in your fifth house of self-expression, of creativity. Do something creative. If you do have children, be active with your children. Do something lovely with them. Or your children could be, falling in love for the first time, for instance. Or, of course, when they're a baby. It's not going to happen probably, but it means that they're going to be quite passionate and quite a bit drama, with a bit of drama there as well. And explore, do hobbies, do things that you enjoy. And go to the theater, it's a very Leo thing. Or you do some theater yourself and have some fun with it for sure. So for you, it's a really fun area. It's also an area of sports. So if you want to begin sports, get into it. And then the Jupiter sextile. So this is amazing, by the way, this energy, this fiery energy in your fifth house. More of that in the upcoming months. But Jupiter is sextiling Saturn. So there is a balance that if you do a little bit of effort there, it's going to be quite an intangible balance between Jupiter in Taurus in that second house of yours, the house of confidence and the house of money. And it's sextiling Saturn in your 12th house. So it's almost by like decluttering. Yeah, decluttering. And it's like making space for new stuff that you really appreciate. And by decluttering things that are no longer suiting you, whether it is books and belongings and whatnot, or it's emotional baggage, Saturn in your 12th house, decluttering. My goodness me, your confidence is going to rise and you're going to do some upgrades there. You're going to say, I'm going to raise the bar, which is always good. Expansion in that area is it's a good month for Aries people. Again, I'm reading here in general. Taurians, this is happening, this epiphany. You are the epiphany. You are going to say, ha ha, now I know what's happening with myself. So I'm going to communicate this. So you are going to be the communicator of this news with Mercury and Uranus in your sign. You are going to communicate something very significant during the first month of Taurus, and it will demand courage to do so, but you're going to do it. And guess what? It's going to free you up. It might not be easy to do so, not at all, but it's going to free you up for sure. And you're going to feel that it's definitely related to a relationship, because the first house immediately, you are a bit of a mirror of what you're attracting in that seventh house. And when you are communicating your truth, and people are going to be shocked by it for sure. People are going to think, what the hell is he or she saying, right? But you're going to reveal your truth, and it's going to clear up a lot for you. And it's, I clap into my hands for you for sure, because it takes bravery, and you are brave. So you're going to do it. Now, all of this Leo energy is in your fourth house. So this is a very emotional house, as this Leo energy is squaring up to your energy. So the Venus retrograde I was talking about, and the Mars and so on, is going to be challenging. The Venus and the Mars in the fourth house means a lot of expect restlessness in the home area, in your family, in your direct family. Expect restlessness there, but it is needed. You have to stir up the pot to, and you will go backwards and forwards. You're not going to do that just to, because you're all about balance, right? You're ruled by Venus, but you are Venus, and you are going retrograde in July, right? So you're definitely working on your emotional well-being. That's going to be your priority number one. I'm not going to explore too much because it's so important to know. I'm going to work on my emotional stability, and the one that's going to work and that's going to deliver that is not another person, it's not a family member, it's not a friend, it's you. It's you who delivers your own emotional stability. That's a beautiful thing, but again, that demands a lot of maturity and wisdom and courage, which it seems that you're having. Now, where is that beautiful balance between expansion and stability? It's between you, the first house, and your friend circle. So you've got Jupiter in the first house. I mean, you expanding, growing, being positive about your future. And it's sextile, it's stabilized by your friends. So there could be one friend or more friend or a group of friends who are really, really helping you to stabilize. So whilst you are going through a lot, emotionally, you are ready for a whole new setup, and that takes all that courage, and you need other people. You can't do this all by your own. Of course you can, but that is lonely, and it doesn't have to be like that. So welcome that help of friends. They're going to be helping you with stability and with security. Again, it can be an association as well. Maybe there is a workshop that you're going with like-minded people, and they give you some sort of stability. Also your goals. You're gonna have new goals for the future, but that stable, those expansion, you want more out of life for sure. With Jupiter in your first house, this is such a crucial time for you Taurians who want to improve your lives. If you want to put your head in the sand and you want to do same old, that is your story. No judgment here. Every soul does what it does and what it can do and how strong it feels. But if you are supported, I see here that you're supported by friends or a friend. I see also that you are ready for this expansion and for honesty now and truthfulness. No messing around. So you're ready for this revelation for sure. And you're ready to communicate it to others so that it's going to be lighter, Geminis, this epiphany is coming with Mercury and Uranus in the 12th house, is coming up in probably your dreams. So it's like your dreams are going to tell you something, or whilst you are relaxing, like whilst you are, for instance, this is in Taurus, so maybe sitting in a bath with a glass of wine or a glass of champagne or whatever, Taurian stuff, or eating some nice biscuits, whatever, in the bath. But anyway, there's going to be epiphanies there. So your unconsciousness is going to talk to you. Could also be, the realms, other realms like ancestors and whatnot. So if you're open for that, you can get a lot of information that they are going to point towards your future. And it's information that can be a bit shocking, but that's going to help you tremendously. Now, this Venus-Mars, what is that all about? This Venus-Mars in Leo, that is in your 3rd house, which is your house. It's the Gemini house. Is this going to be good, bad? Well, it's a sextile. It's not going to be bad at all. It's nice energy. It's going well with Gemini, the Leo energy. But yes, there needs to be changed something in the style and in the way you communicate with your siblings, right? The 3rd house is siblings, or with your neighbors in the neighborhood. That's all the 3rd house. If you have your own business, you're probably going to do things differently for the PR of your business, like a new website, or making it more beautiful, more attractive, more attracting, loveliness towards you. I mean, when you have your own business, Venus retrograde in the 3rd is lovely. It means, a lot of, and with all that activity there now with Mars as well, lots of activity around PR. It's a good time to do so, but also lots of emails, lots of communication, maybe short trips that you're going to do, maybe going back to a place that you've never been before, that you already been, doing short trips, doing some learning. Therefore, it's also a good sign to do some learning and to do some studying. And maybe something that you studied when you were younger, or a couple of months ago, or a couple of years ago, you could pick it up again. And where is that balance that I'm seeing? It's between the work house, where Saturn is, and it's between Jupiter in your 12th house. So the balance, you could say, the balance is between work and relaxation. There is a balance here of the boundaries of the work, but also like the expansion in you exploring more when it comes to relaxation, when it comes to me time, when it comes to private time, whatever that means for you. Beautiful balance there. Cancerians, this epiphany is happening in your 11th house. It's the house of hope. It's the house of friends. It's the house of your goals for the future. So the first week, open your eyes. There's going to be communication with either you will probably communicate, or a friend is going to communicate to you. But there could be some conversations there that are going to be so good for you, so truthful, so cutting all the crap, and real honest conversation. So that is going to help you to grow, that is going to help you and to liberate you from some burdens that you seem to have. It definitely is also about some epiphanies around new goals for the future. Now, this Venus and Mars energy in Leo is all about your 2nd house. So this is all about hustling for the money. This is all about, I want to improve my financial situation. I want it to be bigger. I want it to be better. I want it to be, and I know that people say, oh, this is not a spiritual thing, Veerle, to say, to earn more money and whatnot. That's rubbish, right? Because the 2nd house is about your value. The more you value, I mean, why not valuing life and also the material world? It shows that you're going to put an emphasis on this, but you're going to probably buy a lot of stuff as well that you might think about these things to buy it later on. So if you do want to buy big assets, like I mean, like a computer, a car, something that is bigger than, a pen or a book, right? Something that is very valuable to you. Do it before this Venus comes into the shadow, which is before the 20th of June. And I will say later on in the other videos when that will proceed. But it's definitely a time for you to enjoy life with all the five senses, because you are worth it. It's like you need it and you are worth it to enjoy the five senses. I can't put it in other words. To enjoy good foods, good drinks, all the good stuff of life. That is very physical as well. And that is very, because the second house is a very physical house. It's, and in Leo, it means to express yourself in your own unique way. You will have a lot of passion there going on. And, with the Uranus, it's going to be very interesting for you. But we'll talk about that later in the July horoscopes. So definitely you will want to liberate yourself from things that you value very strongly, and you're going to work hard to achieve it. And because there's something shifting in your value system, you say to yourself, I'm worth it. I'm worth it to have, Cancerians, they always take care of other people. And that's a good thing. I mean, that's a beautiful thing, a beautiful trait of the Cancerian. But you may not forget yourself, right? If you always say yes to others and you always say no to yourself, it's no good. So there is like the change that is happening for you. The balance for you is between the 11th house and the 9th house. There's Jupiter in your 11th house. I'm going to talk a lot about that. That is expansion with your goals, with your friends, good people around you. See them, cherish them. And they're going to be important for you, for your growth. And it's sextiling Saturn in the 9th house. So you're probably going to attract more people in the friend circle who are a bit more, you could say, having a bigger picture, or wise in their, I mean, that can be old or young. It has nothing to do with age, but who are a bit more wise and who can look at things a bit more from a distance, who can be your advisors. Your friends are going to be your advisors. So choose the wise ones, choose the right friends. Okay. And it seems like you're going to, because this sextile Saturn in the 9th house. So also with your goals, you're ready for some new goals, but I already talked about that. So Leos, this epiphany is happening in the highest point of your horoscope. So there is the first week, definitely epiphanies happening around work. If you do work, there could be a communication that is quite shocking. Either you are going to do it or a boss is going to do it. Whatever it is it's there to liberate you, right? I don't want to scare you, by the way. I mean, it's not about scaring people here, but it does square up to your energy. So expect the unexpected and know that whatever happens is the best for you to explore and to be more authentic and more real. I mean, what is the best for you to strive for? It is independence. I mean, not that you have to have your own business, but if you do work, you need your independence. You need that your boss says like, oh, I don't care, dear Leo, how you're going to achieve it. If you achieve it, it's good for me. That kind of thing. On another level, it's like you wanting to have a more independent relationship, a bit of a detached relationship with a parent. That could be the case as well. Now, all this energy in your sign. Wow. I'm going to be talking so much that you're going to say, Veerle, are you there again? 3 months in a row, I'm going to talk about this, about all this energy in your sign. If you've got planets in Leo around 12 degrees or around 28 degrees, my goodness me, this is going to change a lot for you. A lot about your values, Venus there. A lot about you, your appearance. You want to beautify yourself. You want to change your look in a more fresh way, in a more charming way. There's nothing wrong with that. Either it is your wardrobe or it is your garderobe. How do they say that? Wardrobe? No, garderobe. Anyway, mixing French with English, I think. That's when you are raised in a country where you need to learn every language, you could say. No, not everyone, but every language, but English and French. Anyway, I'm digressing. Also, Mars in your house, in your first house. Remember, dear Leos, this is once every 2 years that this happens. When you want to start new things, do it now. Especially before the 20th, with Mars in your sign, and to put boundaries and to say this is enough. It's your time, dear Leos. It's also a time definitely to attract love. You're so passionate. I mean, Leos are charming in itself. No doubt about that. And every sign, of course, has their specific charm. But Leos, the hair and all of that, and the Leo vibe, that glamorous vibe is when you've said, Veerle, what the hell are you talking about? Well, it's coming. It's coming. It's on. And it's available. So tap into that energy. You're not only going to feel better, but you're going to attract a lot of people. You're going to be like a bee, right? Like a flower to a bee. Yes. So very, very good energy indeed. A lot of changes that are going to happen for you. Now, where is the balance? It's between the 10th house and the 8th house. So I talked about work and career and how you want to show you up in the world is really with an expansion there, but with a sextile to your 8th house, where Saturn is. So it's like you're not going over the top. The psychological understanding of the self is very grounding for you. And it helps you in exploring your work, your career, how you want to be seen in the world. It's you're growing, but at the same time, you're having good boundaries with your shadow, basically. Virgos, what a lovely epiphany this is for you. The first week starts with this Mercury-Uranus conjunction. And certainly if you've got planets between, you could say, 20 and 29 of Virgo, there's going to be some wow epiphanies for sure. And it comes because you have that helicopter view. And information could come to you by another person because Mercury is ruled by the 7th house. So probably someone is going to tell you something that is going to blow your mind. And it's it's positive because Taurus trines your energy. So don't be scared of it at all. Be open for it. It's going to be like, oh yeah, it's going to be like, oh, I always knew. But now it's confirmed and now it's approved. Something like that. This Venus-Mars energy, though, is a bit tricky for you. It's going to be in your 12th house. So Venus and Mars in the 12th house, it's not the easiest position to have. So that Venus retrograde, keep in mind that it has a specific meaning and that you're going to be a bit more prone towards undermining yourself, basically, definitely with the Mars there now in that 12th house. So be aware of that, dear Virgos, that you're not undermining yourself. No, you do. And how do Virgos undermine themselves? Mostly when they feel like, I'm not perfect and I want to be perfect. Don't do that. You're going to miss out so much. You're going to undermine yourself. You're a human being like everybody else. I know, it aches, doesn't it? But it's the truth. Me being a Virgo myself, know how it feels. With all that energy in your 12th house, that's some restlessness, some restless nights. The sleep could be a little bit more disturbed there with Mars there for sure. But if you don't want to undermine yourself, do something for someone who is in need. With that Mars there and a Venus in the 12th house, do something for someone in need. But who wants to be helped, right? Not so forcing another one because you want to fix them. That's undermining too. But someone who wants to be helped, who asks for your advice, you could really, really make a difference here with this Mars and Venus in the 12th. Could also mean to do some charity, to do something for, without wanting to receive something. I mean, Virgos are a lot about that. It's a very service-oriented sign. But again, be aware of your boundaries. So be aware that you're not crossing your boundaries, right? You don't have to take over other people's problems. But so on another level with this Venus going backwards, forwards, this could mean that there is love behind the scenes. Be careful for that, right? I'm not judging here, but just be careful, because it can be rather, something that is also undermining you. Why are you, for instance, some of you could fall for someone who's not available. Or the area of life where you say, like, I'm living in, it's a bit like Venus in Pisces, right? It's a lot about falling head over heels, but it's not possible. And so know that you're a bit more prone to that, and keep the feet on the ground. But you're Virgo, you will. So if you don't want that energy, if you want to do something good with that energy, be creative. Do something creative. Do something, creative. I can't put it in other words. Create something behind the scenes. No one is seeing it, that you're sculpting something beautiful out there. Okay? Now, and last but not least, the Jupiter in Taurus is sextiling the 7th house where Saturn is. So yes, Saturn in the 7th house can be a bit like a reality check when it comes to other people, especially if you are in a relationship. But also when you're single, you can be very scared to, where am I getting this accent? Anyway, you can be scared to connect with people. But now with this sextile to Jupiter in the 9th house, so that could be a very good connection with someone from abroad, or there could be a very good connection where you both have that spiritual connection. So, and it's very supportive and very real, very stable, but also you grow because of it. Nice. Very, very nice. If you're single, you could meet someone who has this very Jupiterian kind of traits. Oh my goodness me, what is happening with me? Who's Jupiterian, which is supportive, expansive, life is big, but also grounded. Beautiful energy. Librans, this Mercury Uranus in your 8th house. So there's going to be revealed some secrets here for sure. And it has to do with death and rebirth. Figuratively, for some of you, very small percentage, there could be something happening with inheritances as well. There could be information coming up out of the blue that considers money that you share with other people, or that comes to you, so that you didn't have to do effort for that, but it comes to you. Could be like when you would be having like some situations considering money of loans or investments and so on. That could be like, it comes out and you know what to do. But that's for the first week. So there's Venus, Mars in Leo. Is that good for the Librans? Oh yeah, it's pretty good. It's so social. Librans, they love to be social, right? If maybe you have like a moon in Scorpio, or you're a bit more private person, but normally Librans, they love to be social. With Venus, Mars in your 11th house, wow. Go out there, go have fun with friends, and talk about your hopes and your wishes for the future, your goals for the future, plan them out. And you're going to be going backwards and forwards with that because of the Venus retrograde. You could fall in love with a friend. Could happen as well. Could be some romance going on there. Why not? And you're going to see this person in another light, right? Mars and Venus in the 11th, that's a lot of passion with friends. Could also mean just being active with friends and doing something very glamorous together. What could that be? I don't know. Maybe visit something, maybe going on a trip somewhere. And it's a very, you do lots of things that you love with your friends. You're being very active. You do so sports there and whatnot. It's lovely social energy. Enjoy it. It's sextiling your energy. So enjoy it for sure. But more of that later in the other horoscopes. This balance that we're having, and you're all about balance, aren't you? Is between your 8th house and your 6th house. So there is a balance between this expansion of you understanding your shadow, or some new money coming in, or money coming in that from your spouse, for instance, or a girlfriend, boyfriend, or from an inheritance, or from like a tax return. Oh, wouldn't that be great? Or an investment, all of that. And it sextiles the sixth house. So there could be also something that is related to your work. So a bonus or something like that. That is a bit of an extra here. So that's good news. There is stability here in your day-to-day life and in how you are dealing with your own shadows. Scorpios, wow, this is an important month for you because the first week is this revelation, this Mercury Uranus together in the seventh house. So probably, mostly, this communication is going to come from another person. If you're in a relationship, it's that other person. If you are single, it could be another person that's revealing something for you, to you. Let's hope it's for better and not for worse. Could be a bit of a shock, basically. Like someone is telling you, hey, I fancy you. And, or someone is telling you the opposite, I don't fancy you. I hope it's the other way. But for you, so expect the unexpected when it comes to communication in that first week and be open to it. You know, what comes, comes. But it's going to be very honest. That person is going to be very honest with you, and you like that, even if it's transformative, right? You're Scorpio. That Venus, Mars, and certainly the Venus retrograde, but also Mars in your 10th house, the highest point of your horoscope. So you've got the tools now if you want to change jobs to do it. If you want to change the dynamics, you can do it. You can use your charm with Venus there. There could be a female or a male with female qualities, so nice, charming, and so on. You could fall in love at the workplace, for sure, with Venus and Mars there. So it could have some consequences because it squares up to your energy. It squares up to the Scorpio energy. So it could mean that you will have to take some big steps because of that connection. Another thing could also mean that you're very passionate about work. You're very passionate about not only your relationships and your business partners and so on, but also about work. And you could meet people who really are going to show you something about freedom with Uranus in your 7th house. But again, there's a bit of a tension there going on. So, but definitely a lot of energy and a lot of going backwards and forwards. If you have your own business, this could mean that you're going backwards and forwards of what am I going to do, right? So expect that you have that plan. It's a good thing having a retrograde if you want to change your business or if you want to start something new when it comes to work. Because it's normal when we are going to do big things that we are going a bit backwards and forwards. It's a normal thing. So what else for Scorpios? Yes, this balance between Jupiter in your opposite house of relationships and sextiling Saturn in the 5th. This is like a sweet balance between, you could say, filling up your heart, and your heart is expanding for sure for someone. You know, even if you're single for 10 years, I mean, there's going to be someone there with Jupiter trafficking and transiting the 7th house. And there is expansion, there is growth available for you, but you are grounded. You can have fun with this person, but not going over the top, not going to those extremes. It's very balanced between having fun and between reality and between seriousness and enjoyment. It goes very well together for you when it considers relationships. So if you've been having problems with that, if you've been having like either you go over the top with seriousness or either you go over the top with, you know, being too buoyant, you could say, you will have a little bit more balance there that can go a long way. Sagittarians, this Mercury Uranus in your 6th house. So these are epiphanies that has the first week of the month that has to do with your physical, health. That has a knock-on effect on your mental health as well. But there could be like, oh yeah, an epiphany. That may be a problem that you were having. or a routine that was not going well. You're having an epiphany here. And it can be one of those epiphanies that when it comes to your work, it saves you a lot of time and that gives you freedom. So there's something very freeing up here for you in that house. And I love. I mean, I'm looking so forward to this because I have a Sag rising with this Venus and this Mars, even Venus retrograde in our 9th house. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be our cup of tea. Why? Because we are a fellow fire sign and we're going to be fired up for sure. To do what? To do 9th house stuff, which is connecting more, feeling more connected. Isn't that what is the strength of a Sagittarian? It feels like they're always so optimistic and things are going so smoothly for them, but it's because they put effort into it, because because of their spirit, because of their wisdom and their willingness to grow and not to just and to go on an adventure and to have that courage. I mean, with Mars in your 9th house there and Venus as well, this is the best time to connect with the divine, to strengthen your connection with God, the universe, nature, whatever you're naming it. It's also a splendid time to travel to faraway places, and you're probably going to travel back to a place when Venus goes retrograde. I'm certainly going to do that. So it's funny, it's uncanny how this astrology works, isn't it? It can also mean that something that you study, something that you learn, putting a lot of energy. I mean, here in my country, in Belgium, people are having, almost exams in June. So that's good for you. With Mars there, you're going to put effort into it. You're going to be passionate. And with that Venus, likely, you're even going to love it. So it's very good for students. As well, who've got Sagittarius rising, or particularly Sagittarius rising, but also your sun there or your moon to a lesser extent. Could also mean you teaching others something, you exploring more, you being very passionate and very unique in your way and expressing your words. And so everything that has to do with writing and publishing, and whether it is a channel, a YouTube channel, or what else, it's going to be a lot of energy there. A lot of things that you probably might do a little bit different in the future. But yes, for those of you who are single, they could fall in love abroad. They could fall in love abroad, or they could fall in love with someone from abroad, or with someone who's got a different background, to say the least, a cultural different background. I mean, Venus and Mars in your 9th house, that's beautiful. Lovely energy for you. Balance between your 6th house and your 4th house. So you just entered Taurus. Don't you like it? You just entered the fiery Aries energy that was all about new beginnings, you were all fired up, right? But now you have landed in the sign of Taurus and you're crossing the North Node. So you're reaching your destiny for the future when it comes to your work, when it comes to your routines, your day-to-day life. And you're finding more purpose there with the Jupiter there. And it sextiles here your 4th house, which means your emotional stability. So it's like, because you're doing those routines that are a bit more calm, that are a bit more purposeful, whether it is a better diet, whether it is, for instance, I when Jupiter entered Taurus, that's not long ago, I stopped eating so much sugar. I mean, it's like, and it changes you so much, you feel so different when you can tackle that thing, right? And it's that sort of thing. It might be something small, Taurus, you don't have to do that much, but it might be some exercises that you start doing. I could do that as well. Anyway, might be exercises that you start doing. It might be a new job that you're doing that is so much more purposeful for you. The 6th house, oh yes. Or you can have a lot of work, but it's stable because it sextiles Saturn. So you are getting this sextile Saturnal energy from your fourth house. So at home, you can relax a little bit more now. And emotionally, I mean, literally being at home with yourself. That's a nice thing, isn't it? That's a strength emotionally. And so you're Saturnalizing a little bit, right? I mean, as I'm speaking now, your ruler Jupiter is squaring up to Pluto. So you're in the midst of transformation now. And that can be very unsettling these couple of weeks still. Can be a bit unsettling. But when you move into June, you've got that sextile of Saturn. You've got more support. You've got more the feet on the ground. So whatever it is, when you're watching this video, specifically in May, and you're feeling a little bit all over the place and that big things are shifting, it is because of the Jupiter square Pluto. But as I said, it's going to stabilize later on in June. Capricorns, this epiphany is happening in your fifth house. This Mercury-Uranus conjunction in your fifth house of playfulness, of hobbies, of children. Your child could have a breakthrough, right? It could really, with the exams coming up, it could mean that they're really like, wow, they see the light. Or it could mean like all of a sudden you get news that is related to these subjects, that is related to children, that is related to your hobbies and your joy or love. That could be a love interest coming your way. Someone says something to you and it has to do with fifth house stuff. It has to do with sex. It has to do with romance. It has to do with playfulness. These are all possibilities because it's all fifth house. And it could be a bit disturbing here. But don't worry, this energy trines your energy. But it could be a little bit like, what is happening here? What is this person saying? But it frees you up in a way. And you've got Venus and Mars in the 8th. Wow. That is a lot of passion. I mean, a very passionate month for you, dear Capricorns. With Venus and Mars in the 8th house, that's the house of intimacy. It's not only sex, it's just like body, mind, and soul kind of thing. It's like that. You could really have putting a lot of energy into that. And with the Venus going backwards and forwards, there could be some secrecy involved here as well, because it's in the 8th house. Not necessarily. It could also mean that you have just met someone and that you go a little bit deeper with the relationship. Go into, because the 8th house is not to mess around. The 5th house is playfulness. It's like you could say the 5th house is sex, for the playfulness and whatnot. It's very light, but the 8th house isn't. It's like truthfulness and trust. Is such a big deal in the 8th house. So there could be some fears coming up as well, but it's nothing that you cannot handle, right? This is not really, you're not a fixed sign, so you will be fine. But it can stir up a little bit of anxiety for you because you are exploring more on a deep psychological level. On another level, it's money. So there could be some, like for an inheritance, for a tax return, for loans, there could be some things that you have to go backwards and forwards with how you're going to view this and how some money is going to come to you. It can take some time here, especially with the Venus retrograde. The money will come, but with some delay and with some effort that you will have to do first, because Mars is now in that 8th house. So quite deep for you. And the stability comes from Jupiter squaring Saturn in your 5th and your 3rd house. So the expansion that's going on in your 5th house, the heart that is opening for sure for you, right? Definitely if you've been single for a long time, this is a good sign that you could meet someone very Jupiterian, very buoyant, very optimistic, very maybe from another country or another culture or a different background, to say the least. And it sextiles Saturn in your 3rd house, so you're not being too serious. It's like there is deep conversations with this person, but it's also very expansive. Aquarians, important month for you. The first week there is an epiphany, and it's coming probably from within, because this Mercury-Uranus conjunction is happening in your 4th house, which is your family. It could be a parent that has that through a conversation, something becomes very clear, but at the same time, it liberates you. Or it could be your own emotional understanding of yourself. It doesn't matter how old we are. Sometimes we have those periods where we get to know some parts of us that we didn't even know that we had suppressed. It's that kind of energy because it squares up to your energy. So it's things that have been going on for a while or suppressed in a way because of this square. There has been some tension there. It could also mean like, if you've been on a bit more superficial level, that when you were wanting to buy or sell a house, here comes the answer now. And it's a bit, unexpected news. Expect the unexpected here. And Leo energy, what is going on there for you in the relationship? There's a lot going on for you when it comes to relationships. The upcoming months is going to be a focus on that. And definitely in June, because Mars is there. So if you're in a relationship or not, someone is out there. Someone is, catching your eye. And they're very fierce. Mars in the 7th house means that they want what they want. And but there's also Venus. So it's like also they're very charming, but they're like that mixture between being charming, but being also very saying what they want and very passionate. If you are single, you can definitely attract someone new. You could also attract someone that, or if you are in an existing relationship, something shifts there with the Venus retrograde, right? So yes, you're one of those signs that love could come back and there is a need to reassess something. If you are already in a relationship, it could mean that you need to reassess something in the relationship. That there is a shift there. There could be some crises there happening, but it's for a reason and it's for making the connection better, more truthful, more real, more passionate as well. So a lot will be happening there, and I'm going to talk a lot about that in the future. The balance is between your 4th house and your 2nd house. So Jupiter in the 4th, Saturn in the 2nd could mean, like, again, when it comes to sales and sailing or selling a home or real estate, this is good energy for sure between your assets and between properties. On another level, it's being confident, being more, whilst all this is happening with a relationship, which can be quite triggering because someone is definitely going to trigger you. That could be like a bit unsettling, and definitely with this Venus square Uranus. But it seems like June, definitely like in the midst of it, you're going to have that balance. You're going to have that balance of feeling emotionally pretty secure. So that's a good thing. Last but not least, Pisceans. The first week, there is definitely a communication that comes out of the blue with this Mercury Uranus in your 3rd house of communication. So it could be an email, a phone call, you or probably another person, because Mercury rules your 7th house. It's going to tell you something that is liberating for you. It might be a bit unsettling, but at least it is liberating. So take that in mind and open your eyes and your ears for that. The Venus and Mars in Leo and the Venus retrograde is going to be in your 6th house. So that is where there's going to be lots of energy. It's your day-to-day work. It's your day-to-day life. It's your routines, the way that you live your life, the way that you take care of yourself, that you take care of your health. And that's why it's also called routines, to make sure that you're healthy mentally and physically. So you could be starting with Mars there in the 6th house. It's very active. It's tackling problems as well at the workplace. You could fall in love at the office with Mars and Venus there, for sure. And Venus going backwards and forwards. There could be like something going on there when you're single. I always say when you're single, but actually when you're not single, it could happen as well. But anyway, this is not a judgmental reading here, but definitely a lot of energy at the workplace and a possibility to fix problems there as well, and but also some agitation, so also some some struggles there with colleagues could happen as well, but use it in a good way. Use it to improve your routines, to improve your efficiency, right? The sixth house is a house of efficiency, so tackling problems, being very active can help you there. But yes, Venus going backwards and forwards, if you're looking for a new job, this could be integrated in that Venus retrograde. So that you're thinking about it, reassessing it, and meanwhile you're doing lots of stuff. So that could be the case as well. The balance here between you, because you are in ancient astrology ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is in your third house of learning and communicating and expansive, positive thinking. There is a balance with that, with Saturn in your sign. So it's very beautiful for the Pisceans, because Saturn in their sign can be a little bit like, ooh, I'm scared of doing this, I'm scared of doing that. And a Piscean is not like that, but but Saturn in the first house makes you a little bit more cautious. But now with sextiling your ruler in the third house, it's like mentally, you're really in balance. You're not too overly protective and scared, and you're not too extravagant and wanting to do everything. There's a beautiful balance there between those energies that is going to help you certainly throughout the month, the whole month basically, particularly in the midst of it, but the whole month of June. That was a long video, but hopefully you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time. Bye-bye.